Hello again, my beloved friends. Today we are going to talk about a subject that is even tougher for you than change. Today we are going to talk about fear. What happens when things go well, but the fear of things going wrong paralyzes you? What happens when your fears are so strong that they even contradict your own present? And when you live in fear, how long do you think it will take before your scary scenarios materialize into reality? Today's channeling is not about the law of attraction. There is a lot of information on this subject, and if you don't know enough, make sure you learn, because it is one of the biggest and most powerful laws of the universe. Today we talk about fighting back. You see, fear does not exist in your nature by accident. It is there to protect you in case of danger. The heart pumps so much adrenaline that the whole body is alert and ready to fight or run like hell. At least this is how fear is supposed to work. It is only there in order for you to act, to do something to avoid or survive a difficult situation. A dangerous situation. The problem is that you react with fear to a million things that are not dangerous at the moment, and the chances that they will become so in the near future are very slim. Then this instinct loses its usefulness and becomes a bigger enemy than the danger itself. Instead of protecting you, it slowly kills you. How is it that you have so easily accepted the idea that it is normal to be afraid all the time? Afraid of living and afraid of dying, afraid of being with people or afraid of being alone, afraid of being just like the others or afraid of being different, afraid of cars, of planes, of lies, and of the truth. Afraid of people, of thieves, of murderers, of women and of men, of touching, of feeling, of being happy, of being sad, afraid of failure. Who sold you the fairy tale that life has to have a guarantee for everything? And why did you buy it? Don't you see you have been programmed with a twisted look on reality? Don't you see you have grown so accustomed to fear and drama that you seek it yourself? If a movie doesn't have violence in it, you think it's boring to watch. You want the hero to do fighting stuff that's getting crazier and crazier, while in real life you don't even have the guts to protest against bad behavior because you're afraid of what the others are going to say. You want the hero to take revenge for things that you normally let go. And you want the hero to let go of things that you normally cling to like an addict. Do you see what I mean when I talk about twisted reality? What I'm going to say now might come as a surprise to some of you, but not all the fear you feel is yours. Yes, you have been programmed for it, and you perpetuate it and pass it on to others as if it was the normal thing to do. And you don't even realize what great harm you cause by continuously clipping the wings of people who are ready to fly. But that is not what I'm talking about. What I'm actually saying right now is that not only most of the thoughts provoking this fear do not originate from you, but the biggest part of the emotion of fear does not come from you either, especially when it escalates to a point that you think you are going crazy. When you start thinking it's not like you to lose control of your fear so easily, and yet it happens. Of course it's not like you, because this fear is not yours. I want you to put all the conspiracy theories you have heard of aside for the moment. I think that even the most naive of you can understand that there are some people who have a lot to gain from you being afraid. Who or what is behind this, and at what extent, I will not say. It will only add up to your fear, and it is not what I want. Those of you who are ready to find out will find out, because no one can control you if you don't want to be controlled. What I offer you is a way out of this situation without giving you a target where you can focus your hatred. Today we are going to talk about thought forms. I know most of you already know what they are, but humor me just for today. A thought form is a thought, an idea, an emotion. All conscious beings project thoughts and emotions in their environments. It happens all the time. Most of them fade away. If what they project is strong, it is recorded in the energy grid of that area. It is like a footprint that sensitive people can feel, and they can sometimes read the information it contains. If what they project is really strong, and it is being projected for a long time, not only is it recorded in the planetary grid, but it also creates a thought form, an independent energy that starts to move as if it had a life of its own. Most thought forms dissolve after a while, because they can only survive for as long as there is energy to feed them. Those who don't remain, and if they are continuously fed, they get stronger and stronger. If I wanted to describe them schematically, I would say that they become like big clouds that hover in the air above you and around you. Not all thought forms are negative. Just like clouds, some are white and fluffy, or bright and colorful and make you happy to look at, while others are dark and heavy and smell of tension and electricity. The same thing happens with thought forms. Some are happy and playful and fill your heart with joy, while others smell of death and fill you with dread. But there is one major difference. When your sky is full of black clouds, they block the light, chill your heart, and blur your vision. Thought forms can only affect you if you tune yourself to them. If you don't, they are thin, transparent air, and you go through them without even knowing they're there. In order for you to understand better, I'm going to use a real example. Although she hates it when I do that, she's also used to it by now. So I'm going to use the example of Lena, the woman channeling this message for me. As you probably know, she was born in Greece, and this is where she lives at the moment. Her house is in Athens, but she spends at least half of the year outside the city when she's away for work. As you also probably know, Greece is among the few southern Mediterranean countries that has been hit by a severe economic crisis in the last few years. Here I will open a small parenthesis and I will say that, in case it hasn't crossed your mind, it is not by accident that these countries are going through this. These are the countries which used to have a great amount of happy thought forms, due to the fact that their cultures put great emphasis on the importance of happiness and human relationships, and less on hard work and following rules and time schedules. Now, it is really hard to attack and change people's culture, but if you are someone who wants to gain control and you know how energy works, there is another way. All you have to do is destroy happy thought forms and replace them with miserable ones, who will then do the work for you. And in case you think that this is too far-fetched and that it is all simply a financial result of having too many lazy people who refuse to pay back loans, who like bending rules and letting others get their hands dirty, please check well the statistics of financial analysis. It will surprise you to find out that there are countries whose debt is much higher, but have remained untouched. I wonder why. Here I close the parenthesis and go back to Lena's example. One thing you have to know about Lena is that she's a really happy person. She wasn't always like that. In fact, it took a lot of hard work for her to unlearn her old limited ways and create a new reality. A reality where you become happy because you choose to be so, and not because the circumstances around you are favorable. It took hard work to learn how to tune herself to the frequencies of joy, of love and abundance, even when things were contrary. And it took time to also learn how to change from one frequency to another, how to pass from fear to trust, from sadness and grief to colors and laughter. Now, I, who know her well, can tell you that she's a master of transformation. And even though she does experience unhappy emotions from time to time, she doesn't stay with them for long. Well, last month, a rather unusual thing happened to her. As I told you before, she spends a great amount of time away from the city. While she was away, something happened that caused her fear, and it's of no importance what it was. Then she came back to Athens, and instead of going away, this fear started getting stronger and stronger. It brought older and deeper fears to the surface, and after a couple of weeks it escalated completely out of proportion, bringing her to a point where she thought she had gone crazy, because it wasn't like her to lose control of her frequency like that. Her mind was so fixed on these dark thoughts that it took 3 times the amount of time it usually takes her to recover control of herself and return to her usual happy mood. During these dark days, she asked for my help, not for me to fix this, but to help her understand what the hell was happening. This is my answer. During the 7 months that she was away, the thought form of fear had become much, much stronger. It is like a huge black cloud hovering over the city, ready to suck in whomever falls in this frequency. This is why it took her such a long time and such a great effort to come out, because it wasn't just her own fear she had to deal with. It was the fear of thousands of people who were continuously feeding the thought form, making it stronger and stronger, and turning it into a monster. It's like standing in front of a very tall pile of bricks. If you don't touch them, they stay out of your way. But if you pull even one of them, the whole pile falls on your head and buries you. This is the effect that thought forms have on people. And this is why emotional manipulation can be far more important than physical, because physical manipulation controls only you, whereas emotional manipulation controls you and helps control others by the energy that you produce. Tricky, isn't it? And now we come to the $1 million question. How do you fight back? The answer is simple. You don't. If you go deeper into this emotion and try to find its roots and pull them out, which is usually the best way to react against something like that, in this case you will be overwhelmed. When fear or any other unpleasant feeling escalates to a point where it doesn't respond to logical approaches anymore, then there's usually a strong thought form behind it, supporting it. and dealing with it face to face will both exhaust you and produce very poor results. Remember that you are tuning in with something way bigger than your energy, and fighting it will only make it stronger, since you will be adding your despair to the energy of the thought form. So what do? Simple. You tune in to another thought form. Always remember that every coin has two sides, and just like darkness and bad intentions have power on your world, so does light and good intentions. And negative thought forms are not the only type there is. I have told you in the first channeling, you are not alone, and help is coming from everywhere. We might not be allowed to intervene, but we can offer light. For every few of you creating happy thought forms, there are hundreds of us, beings of light, adding our strength to them and making them more powerful. You will be surprised to see how many and how big thought forms of beauty there are, colorful like soap bubbles, and filled with the most uplifting emotions you can imagine. They also originated from you. You can connect to them and make them stronger and take comfort in them. There is an old native saying, every man has two wolves inside him, a black one and a white one. What makes the difference is which wolf you decide to feed. Use the power of thought forms in your favor and turn the weapon of whoever is trying to control you against them. Because if falling into a dark pit is what comes so easily once you tune in to a dark thought form, then it must be just as easy to launch yourself to the sky and be sucked in by a rainbow if you go the opposite way. They're both available, aren't they? Start with something small, a song, a kiss, a crystal, a comedy, anything that has the vibration you want to tune into, and just keep going until the shadow lifts from your shoulders. It might take a while, but it will be faster than trying to deal with your negative feelings with a mental approach. Times change, and you have to change with them. And when the old tools don't work, you have to learn to use new ones. Mental approaches and analyzing why you've fallen work better when you're out of the web, not when the spider is approaching. Your first priority is to get out. When you're falling into despair, there is only one mental approach that can help you, one thought you can cling to until it releases you. This too will pass. Nothing is forever apart from time itself. So whatever dark thing you are feeling, no matter how strong or painful, it will pass. It is always strange to me how people get so scared whenever they experience something really beautiful, like love or laughter or deep happiness. They get scared that something will happen and they will lose it. And yet, when they experience something awful, they think and behave as if it's going to last forever. Don't you think it should be the other way around? This is a good example of how your mind can play tricks on you, how it is programmed with a twisted look on reality. You, being part of the Western society, have always learned that your mind is your most prized possession. Yet you don't realize that sometimes it can be your biggest enemy, especially when it falls into the trail of fear, which, if you continue following, will lead you someplace really, really dark. Don't forget and don't underestimate the power of your thoughts. Are you sure this is what you want to materialize?